Guys, all this talk about house prices soaring, I am now literally contemplating whether we sell up and move out of London to a smaller place with better views in the country. And I've always been a city girl. Like, who even am I? And we've only had this house for 3 years, but for some reason I'm still obsessed with checking Rightmove to see the latest stock on the market. But I do love a bit of house porn as well, so I'm not gonna lie about that. But let's face it, house prices are just on a crazy tear at the moment. And as you know from my last video on the topic, London is fast catching up with house prices, just rampant. It's insane. Even with the stamp tax benefit being eliminated, house prices are still soaring. But what the hell is going on? What is going on? I mean, the property market had its busiest ever 6 months this year. House prices have continued to rise above record highs for 4 consecutive months. And I have a couple of videos on this topic already, but the number one reason right there is supply and demand. So nothing changes there, guys. There's a surge of demand and shortfall of supply. There's just not enough property to go around. And the property website Rightmove, they've suggested as many as 250,000 houses are needed to enter the market to plug that demand. That is redonks. But the massive shift of the pendulum favors sellers, and that's why I'm contemplating it too, which is why house prices are growing despite all odds, despite the removal of stamp duty holiday, and despite the backdrop of the pandemic, which could be strongly argued as the impotence for this imbalance. But putting all of that into perspective, the average house price in the UK is up 6.7% in the last 6 months, which makes it a jump of about 21k on the price of the average home for you and me. So let's sprinkle a few more facts. The new all-time high asking was also up under 1%. That was the largest monthly rise for this time of the year since July 2007, and with an annual growth in asking prices of about 5.7%. Now, these figures alone are enough to make me go into labour, but they are shocking and shockingly good if you're a seller. And also, with the majority of sellers at the moment now targeting buyers who wouldn't really benefit from the stamp duty holiday, that adds even more astonishment. How do we know it's a seller's market? Well, the data from Rightmove shows how long it takes property to go under offer after the first listing. And guess what? No surprises here. It's almost half. So back in June 2020, it was taking around 75 days to find a buyer. In today's market, it's just under 40 days to find a buyer. That is mad. That's not even enough time to have cold feet. Now, the stamp duty benefit fell from 500k to 250k for properties, which means that stamp will cost buyers an extra 12.5k for properties in that region. And I'll see if I can put a snazzy graph up here. But Rightmove have said that in the past, the stamp duty holiday has had the impact of increasing prices in the market because it's exhausted the supply of homes as buyers rush to close deals and take advantage of those tax savings, which is obvious. Now, with the tax savings gone, the supply of homes still remains low and prices continue to rise, and affordability metrics are being totally stretched. So prices are rising even though the choice of homes is declining. It's a really oddball situation. But where does that leave me? Well, a few facts first to help get my head straight and hopefully get some input from you guys as to whether you guys feel like this is a bubble. So in my case, in an ideal situation, my forever home would ideally have 4 bedrooms with 2 toddlers and 1 on the way. There's no other option really. And this is where the hikes are the greatest, because 4-bed home sales have surged by 39%, while supply has fallen 15%. Both of these figures show a 30% worsening of conditions for me as a buyer with my requirements. And that has translated in what feels like a much more expensive proposition. Me, I'm not completely sure what I end up doing. Will I move to the country? If I do, you can come join me. But it does feel a little bit more appealing, so I'll keep looking at that and keep enjoying my house board. Now, as an investor in London, there is blooming news that the underperformance is grinding to a halt. In fact, London and her suburbs are booming. Now, with June data also being available, housing activity in the most expensive areas of London reached record highs as lockdown easing began, and it started to draw more people back into the capital. And if you want to hear more about my predicament in London and just all around how the housing market is doing in the UK, well, here are a bunch of videos which you can check out, and I'll see you over there. Ciao!